Hello, everybody. We're just waiting for a few people to pop in and get this moving on social media. Good morning, good evening. Let's see, make sure I can see us. And Colin will be back in just a minute. Oops. And here we come. Okay. Getting this on pages. There he is, my coffee with Colin. Yay. I love it. One more share here. And I see people slowly coming in. Beautiful, beautiful. Hello, everybody. I love it. Welcome. And this is my last paste. So amazing. Posting. There we go. Awesome. Wow. Here we are. Sunday morning for me, my favorite time. I'm still going to have a t-shirt made. I'm going to wear it. Coffee with Colin. I just haven't done it yet. So good evening to you. I'm so happy we're together. Last week we talked about the hologram and holographic blending. There have been several questions that have come in, and with all of this information and all of this techie talk, right? There's no way it can be squeezed in an hour. And I would say there's no way it can even be squeezed in like, a 5-hour talk, because there's always so many different perceptions and ideas of questions that come into account from other individuals. And so Colin is going to address some of the questions that came in, go over some more things that we weren't able to touch on in the hour that we were together. And then we're just going to have an open talk, whether it be about holographic blending or whether there be some other things that we want to discuss, because, as you know, Colin's story is in 2014. He had a lot of downloads from his higher self, Iasmir, and so much stuff is coming to a head for this great reset. And so we're really, we're not going to run out of things to talk about. That's for certain. So I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for being here with me.
Well, it's great to be with you and all the watchers out there.
Yes, yes. Here they come.
Yeah. And I enjoyed last week's show. I felt there was a lot of good information that I gave last week, but I felt that it just, you can't really give all that much information in 1 hour, and this is a vast topic. So I thought it'd be worthwhile revisiting that, because I did get some questions during the week on my Facebook Messenger account. And so I'd like to address those questions and, answer them. And because people are the most difficult thing that people are going to find with a hologram is to accept that they are creating their own hologram.
Mm-hmm.
That for me was the most difficult thing to accept. And, when I was taken to other higher dimensional time-space continuums, and I met other beings there. When I first met my higher self there, we were surrounded by mist, so I couldn't see anything. And eventually, he telepathed that he was going to show himself, and then the mist slowly receded a bit, and he was standing there, and he was, 10 to 12 feet tall, and blue skin and blue feathers on his body, and I at first, I got a bit of a shock, and
I would have beat myself.
yeah, but I'd already met someone who was 10 feet tall. My first one that appeared to me was a guy called Maha,
Mm.
and he was there just to give me information to teach me, but Aizmir was going to teach me the application of that information, how to do it. And one of the things they did was to show me how it works in other space-time continuum. And once I got used to, this large being, they were very thin. They're not muscular in any way, but very tall. And they, he had the most beautiful eyes. So I just focused on looking at his eyes because I sensed that that was where the message was coming from. The telepathy was coming through his eyes. So we kept our eyes on each other. And he was reading my mind and I was reading his mind. And it was very strange because um, I, it was almost I was looking at myself. And, I was hearing my own thoughts through him. And it was pretty weird. And then he sat down and explained to me a lot of things. He sat down because he felt, he was intimidating because he was so tall. So he sat down and we talked, and I sat down and we talked for a while. And then he said, "Well, I'd like you to meet some other people." And he said, "But before I do that, I must ask you to go into neutral zone." Now, what they had done before I'd actually taken this journey was to teach me to go into a space called no time, no space, no thoughts, anything. They called it the void. And so it's a space where you don't think and you don't feel. You just simply go into observation mode. And he explained that if I allowed any thoughts of fear or anxiety or negative thoughts out, the environment would change. It would change. It was a message to the environment that, and the beings there, the Azurites, as they call themselves, are very sensitive to negative energy and they don't like negative energy. So I had to go into neutral. And then later on, he explained why this is so, that we create our reality through our thoughts and emotions. Now, I had a question this week about from someone who said, "How do we, how do our thoughts and emotions, how do we, how do our thoughts and emotions create our reality?" Well, I thought about it, and the best analogy I can come up with is if you have a DVD of a movie, okay, that DVD just got data on it. It hasn't got actual pictures. It's the TV that changes the data, or the computer that changes the data into a picture. But that data is called metadata. And metadata is the data around imaging, okay? And when we think, we are actually creating the metadata for our experiences. And as I said last week, what you put out there is going to come back to you.
Right.
So when you're experiencing something, if you attach to that experience, it attaches to you.
Mhm.
And that's what people don't get here, is that when they attach to negative things, those negative things attach to them. When you attach to positive things, those positive things attach to you. So it's like a loop. You're going to where data is coming into you and data is going out of you. And it's all metadata. It's data used for imaging. And our thoughts go out. Now, how do they go out? Well, it's pretty much like our cell phones and televisions and radios. It's carried in something called the ether. We call it air, but it's actually ether. And ether is the fifth state of water. So it's conductive, it's able to carry waves, it has a wave carrying capability, and it carries thoughts, which are the data, through our magnetic fields, which is our emotions. Okay, so what we're doing is we are creating this consciousness, a stream of consciousness, carrying our thoughts and our emotion, carrying our thoughts out there, and the thoughts are carried on emotions.
Mhm.
Now, what's happened on this planet, people have been sending out those signals at a low frequency. Okay. Now, low frequency just means that it's not about the amplitude of a wave. It's about how the top, the peaks, or how often the peaks, waves reach a peak.
Yeah.
And time span between those is the frequency of that wave. And so if your frequency is very low frequency, you carrying information on low frequency emotions, because that information is carried by emotions. So if you're having negative emotions, low frequency emotions, you're sending out low frequency data. Okay. So one has to create a magnetic wave that carries the data. And the data is from your imagination. Now, what is imagination? Image ability.
That's perfect. Image
Yeah.
ability. Hmm.
And the image data is the metadata that gets carried in across the universe, into our conscious space. Now, there is no space. We just imagine the space to be. There is no time. We imagine the time to be. We create time and we create space. And if people get a hold of it and realize the power that that gives one, to create your own reality,
Hmm.
it's an enormous power. But the trick is to raise the frequency of your emotions to carry high. If you have high intentions and super ability intentions, you want to change this world, for instance, you have to create the magnetic field that
Yes.
carries the wave.
Yes. And
So, go on.
for um, for for me, the way that I see the magnetic field, I love the science piece because it puts together for me how I identify as mother, the creatrix, how I bring divine mother in, in through me, through that water element, which is the ether that you're saying, right? And so it's, the rise of this divine feminine energy that is able then to, when we're connected into that, which is being connected into the earth, right, really being connected into the earth, and when we think about what feminine aspects, what they can do, like we create, we grow life, we make, our these infinite creators, and but having that magnetic field not working, right? Not function. I'm hitting my left hand going, it's not working. It's not working, right? Like, uh, and another way to like look at this is, this moves into, I see things that, I go into like this other aspect of, well, now I'm going to see like a bipedal feline, and I'm going to connect into, the ley lines that go over, Egypt. And when you start to understand and put all these pieces together, when you can take, the sensitive and visual aspects, and put them together and understand the science pieces behind this, it's like, it's so powerful and so phenomenal to be an image creator. Like you're saying, like people, you put the DVD in and you get to, it's like you project the picture. I think that's so brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. We live in almost like a large theater, and everyone's projecting into this reality.
Mhm.
And this consciousness is going out there and it's coming back in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're picking up all this bits of metadata coming from everywhere else, and then we're projecting it sorry, we projecting it out there again. So uh, by this act of symbiotic relationship with our environment, our so-called environment, because we actually create the environment.
Yeah.
And when we think about it, you know, on this planet, we haven't really effectively been able to use that power. But beings on other higher dimensions are able to travel through time and space into other space lines because they understand the technology. What they're doing is they're traveling on a wave. And the universe is filled with waves, and each timeline has a certain frequency. And so if they know which frequency to tune into, they can move themselves through different timelines. And they're not moving their bodies because we actually create our bodies. Our body is part of the hologram that we see. And there is a universal design template on which all beings, everything that is in manifest reality is created. And it's created in the same way in all dimensions and in all harmonic universes. So there's just one science that one has to learn, and then you can apply it to any dimension. No, but it's. I found when I first came across this information, it was very very confusing, and I can imagine that a lot of people whose minds are boggled there. But having that experience of actually going into another dimension, and they demonstrated to me how they could change the color of the sky
Mm-hmm.
as a community, how they could change the color of the green in the tones of the vegetation. Uh, uh, and they said, it's like magic. And they say, well, we're not changing the trees, we're changing our consciousness. It's our consciousness that is changing. The trees aren't really there.
It's it's super mind bending. It's mind bending because, and how do we, how, what are your suggestions for somebody to move out of the mental constructs? Because, this is where they really get us. They put the implants and the frequencies that they want to, keep us vibrating at. How does somebody, what is something someone can do to just take that, the mental aspect, the mind part, and how can they come into the heart and learn how to create then? What do you suggest for that?
Yeah, I've got a course called the Mastering the Hologram,
Mm.
where I speak about it. It's a three-part course, and I would suggest if people want to know how to do it, then it doesn't cost a lot of money. It's quite a valuable course to have because it, our thoughts really do matter. People don't get it, that if you are just running thoughts through your mind that are not your thoughts, then you are not conscious. Your conscious is not working. You're projecting a reality. The metadata that you're projecting in your reality doesn't come from you. It's been indoctrinated into you. So if you're just in that mode, you're going to be creating a reality that you don't really want.
Right. Yeah. So is it safe to say that the mental field would be the DVD, and unless you know how to rewrite that metadata, then you're just going to always project what they're putting on that mental field or on that DVD, right?
Yeah. And it really goes to the heart of what I call authenticity. And that was also explained to me by my higher self, just like a tuning fork. Ding! It always vibrates at the same frequency.
Right.
And what we are doing is we're going up and down and up and down, and that authentic sound, vibration coming from us is not genuine. It's somebody else's. And when we get back to who we really are, and we know and understand and love ourselves, and we love the ability, we have to say, I love the ability to think. I love the ability to feel, and then you get back into feeling authentic feelings. And when I first learned this, I realized that I didn't feel.
Mhm.
I'd been brought up in a very robust environment. You know, Irish Catholics can be quite, because, you know, my mother never ever told me that she loved me, and my father never told me that she loved me. And we got this sort of indoctrination that cowboys don't cry.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to cry, and you weren't allowed to show emotions. So all our emotions got pushed down. And so through life, I began to compensate for that, because I realized that it's appropriate to react in a certain way and show a kind emotion. For instance, when somebody falls, you help pick them up, but you don't really feel for them. You don't feel their pain. You don't empathize. You just have an appropriate response. And that's what I was doing. I was not feeling my emotions. So I had to do a lot of work on my emotions, and it took me 3 months to. I've made a list of all the emotions that I could possibly think of. I went and researched it on other sites, got a list together, and then I put it into a spreadsheet. And I had 3 columns which you could sort into different aspects. And then the first column said, rate how many times you feel this emotion from 1 to 10, from 0 to 10. And I did that. And then did a sort on that. And then I discovered that 2/3 of the emotions on the list I never felt.
Mhm.
And most of the emotions that I'd felt, and the tens, were the negative ones: the fear, anxiety, worry, dread. Um, so that gave me an insight into what emotions am I attached to, and what emotions am I feeling. So then
And
I had to,
and why? And why?
and then,
Sorry.
yeah, then I had to go through the list again and say, why have I never felt that emotion? You
Yeah.
know, what
Yeah.
does it feel that way? And so I had to practice it. And I said, well, what does it feel like to feel bliss, for instance? I'd never felt bliss. And then I thought, well, just bliss it, you know.
Lift it up. Lift it up.
And when you do that, you actually feel the energy of bliss.
Yeah.
It vibrates around you. It's a wonderful experience. And to feel real joy, and to begin to learn to express it openly, and you feel the vibration of joy, and you feel the emotion of love. And when I began to do that, I began to wake up to my emotion generating ability, that I could generate positive emotions, I could generate good emotions. And all it did was making a choice.
Yeah.
I want to feel bliss. All right, let's
Yeah.
feel bliss.
I love it. I want to touch a couple people are saying, Dolores says, once I finally got it, that I was creating the chaos in my life, I shifted for the good. That I think is half the battle, is realizing this is where it starts. Like whether it's hard to admit that we're creating our own nightmares, that we're creating our own pain. No one else does that. We do that. We allow it, right? What are we giving into? What are we letting in? Right?
Yeah,
Whose DVD are we playing? Someone else's or our own? And
yeah,
Jeremy says, mastering the hologram. Thank you so much, Colin, and bless you, Chas, for the question. Um, yeah, that's true. And then Yamaka is saying, how do I control my emotions? And that's what we're talking about. I think the first thing is identifying, what are your emotions? What?
yeah, yeah. I I've got a spreadsheet. If you message me on Facebook, I'll upload it for you, and you can go through the spreadsheet. But basically, it's it's making a choice to become a feeling person again,
Yeah,
and to realize the range of emotions we are capable of generating is enormous. In my spreadsheet, I think there's 101 different emotions. Now you just think about that. And then once you do that evaluation, you see which emotions, and if you're really honest, you have to be honest about it. Do the sort, and you'll see which emotions you are running most of the time.
Yeah.
And then you have to make a choice and say, I don't want to run these emotions anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live in the world of worry. So what is the alternative of worry? Faith.
Yeah.
How do I feel faith? What is the feeling of faith like? You know,
Yeah.
it's like you feel I can trust myself.
Yeah.
I can trust the universe. I can trust my experiences, and I can trust that I can control who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do that work, and that you feel the vibration, you feel the wave going off you of faith, and suddenly you realize, wow, I don't have to be afraid. I can have faith. I can use my frequency generation capability to generate the feeling of faith that I trust. I trust myself. I trust the universe. I trust God. I trust my fellow man. I trust everyone. Because if I mistrust them, it's me who's creating the mistrust,
Yep.
not
And
the
then
person.
that's exactly right. And when we can even telepathically put out there, even just to strangers, practice on strangers, because that'll be easy. Like, I trust this person. In your mind, just say it in your mind, right? Because we walk around distrusting people, but we're really not trusting ourselves. We're not trusting that we can care for our emotions. We're not trusting that we can create. We're not trusting that we're supported. We're not, and this is again, an indoctrination, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're taught. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have to trust ourselves. That's the starting point, and trust our abilities, because we are eternal beings, soul beings. We're never going to die. The body might die, but we are never going to die. We are eternal soul beings, and this journey is going to be a very, very long journey.
You better love yourself, right? You better create what you want, because you're going to be with you for a really long time.
Yeah, and your future self is already created in another time-space
Yeah.
continuum. So
Mhm.
it's just breaching that gap of getting there, and uh, and part of the power that we have is to generate these frequencies, the vibrations
Mhm.
of energy through our emotions. We send out messages, thought messages. We image them, we imagine them, and then we send that out down into the universe, and then we wait for the flow back.
Yep.
And and many people give out the image, but they never wait for the flow back, or they can't even recognize the flow back. You know.
Right. Or how it comes in, because it didn't happen. This is when the lower vibrations get in the way, when our mental mind expected it a certain way and it didn't happen that way, right? And so
Yeah.
then we're not, then that goes right back into the distrust. Like, well, this didn't even happen the way that I expected it to. But no, it happened in a way that your body, your soul, your mind was going to be able to integrate it, right? You don't just get
Yeah.
the big kahuna, you don't get the big download, right? you
Yeah.
you have to you have to clear shit out of the way first in these places in order to make room for it. And that's something I call, breaking down the demonic houses and bringing in the spirits of Christ, the houses of the Christ, right? And like, you gotta get that old foundation out. You got to get out the leaky pipes. You have to forget about making repairs, tear it down and start over, right? And when those negative thoughts pop in your head, you stop yourself immediately and say, this is not me. I do not identify as this, and this is like, get behind me, get out of my way. This is, and replace it immediately with something positive, whether that be picturing what a donut tastes like. It doesn't matter. Just re-identify, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what that is, so that way your body will no longer think that. You train your neural pathways, start rethinking, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Rethink.
And for instance, last night, I was invited to go with the neighbors next door. They invited me to go to a pub, which I've been to before with them. And I quite liked the experience because the music was great and the people were great. But last night I went into that situation with a clear knowing that I am creating my reality.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone who in this pub is going to be a reflection of who I am. Okay. And I went there and I looked at people and just sent out love towards the people. And I looked at them and I knew that I was creating this reality. And the music was great. My experience there was great. The conversations were great. And I had a wonderful time. And I had some deep conversations while I was there with people. And I just thought to myself, this manifestation stuff is easy. You
It
just have
is.
to you just have to be aware of it. And you don't go into spaces dreading the experience. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Be nervous about it. Don't just go and watch. Because
And love the outcome. Love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And you put out the outcome, and when it comes back to you, acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
this is what I want to experience. I want to experience the same thing that I had last time. Nice people, nice surroundings, a couple of drinks with people, good music, and conversations and the good laughs, a couple of jokes, and watching people watching me and smiling back at them, and it just becomes a whole different interaction when you realize that you are in control of this reality.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
can't blame anybody for the experiences I have. I create them myself.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. I had yesterday was an amazing day myself in terms of creating, a lot of new firsts I think are happening for people, right? We're in this really big, great reset. We're literally like plunging out the old, this is like the structures that we're talking about tearing down these houses, tearing down this architecture to rebuild is like, now what do I want to do? And I'm like, okay, well, I want to experience something with new people, soul family. I'm going to go and have an amazing cup of coffee. And it's just when you set your mind to exactly what you want, guess what? It happens. It
Yeah,
absolutely happens because you command it to be so.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because everyone in your hologram is you, a different aspect of you.
Yeah.
And if you send in that person positive, wonderful energy, they're going to respond back that way. You
It's
know,
a
that's
reflection of you.
yeah,
The people around us are reflections of us, right? And it's like I just get, oh, why would I want someone to be super shitty to me, right? I'm gonna I just create it.
okay. Now, how can people use this ability?
Mhm.
Now we're sitting in a situation where you have uh, a left-wing socialist as the president of the United States. You have the Congress run by a left-wing socialist. Uh, you have negative groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa and so on in America. And the way to fix it, you just think it.
Yeah,
You create the love.
right.
You send out the energy. What do I want to experience? What metadata am I going to create to put out there?
Hmm.
So
And
just think about this. Imagine Donald Trump being in, invested as the president of the United States on the 15th of August. And in order to get there, we have to have this COVID thing sorted out because we know that Dr. Fauci's come out. He's acknowledged that he's been involved in some little things that he
liar,
shouldn't.
liar, pants on fire.
Yeah, and he's been basically lying to the people, and he's culpable, criminally culpable of misleading the people,
Mhm.
and it's going to come out, and that's what I focus on.
Mm.
How,
Yep.
what is going to happen to make this happen? And today I saw a video of a German lawyer he has dual citizenship, U.S. and German citizenship. He's currently living in the United States or Canada. I'm not sure which one he's actually living in, but he has a U.S. citizenship, and he spoke about a group of lawyers, virologists, scientists, psychologists, economists that are getting together, and they're going to sue, bring a class action against the World Health Organization, the CDC, Dr. Fauci, and all those players who've been playing this game with people.
All the cohorts. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And there are multiple lies that they've told us. For instance, the PPE tests, are actually a fraud.
Yeah,
They give,
the PCR testing. Yeah.
yeah, they give a 97% false positive outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So what the results are showing is that you already have COVID in you, because everyone's got the
Everybody does.
coronavirus.
So do dogs, by the way. Just so
You need the
everyone knows.
coronavirus to fight the flu and to and fight other coronaviruses that are out there. So
Right.
everyone's got, and that's what these results are showing. And there's a lot of fraud going on, and so that's the metadata that I'm putting out there. I can see it in
Exactly.
my mind. You know.
This is interesting that you bring this up because I wanted to talk about, and hopefully we don't, when I put this on the face or on the YouTubes, it doesn't get, whatever. But the I know a lot of people that went to go watch Judy Mikovits yesterday. Here, she was in Washington State,
All right.
and she was alluding. I didn't make it to the thing, but she was alluding to all of this being parasitic, like it's an actual parasite. Now, she didn't say that, so don't quote me on that, but that there's a parasitic aspect. And I wanted your idea on this because energetically we can see uh, eh, the parasites that bore in through the spirit body, right? And in terms of this, and how we can like get rid of that in that, well, parasite, right? Like, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? Is it actually, from your lensing, does it look like a parasite, or does it actually look like what other people are saying in terms of like reconstructing the human blueprint or the DNA structures?
Yeah, it's definitely a parasite. And what do parasites look like?
Oh, it depends, right? Like I've seen so many different ones in the bodies,
There-
but
There's so many parasites, and they're actually in our bodies. Our
yeah,
bodies are full of parasitic organisms that are part of our immune system. If they weren't there, we'd die very young. And we are creating parasites as well. Our bodies creates when we breathe or swallow something foreign to our body, then the body has an immune response that clears those things up. And you know the and that's the amazing thing, that when this whole thing hit, that I was amazed that governments didn't tell people, listen, you've got a natural immune system, and if you get this virus, this is what you need to create immunity,
right,
okay, to this virus. If your body can't create immunity, you have to find a way to help create immunity, and that's not a vaccine.
right.
There's a natural way that you can create immunity, but you can fight the virus. I mean, there are quite a number of things you can do, like ivermectin. Um, what's that other one? Hydro,
Hydrochloroquine. Mm-hmm.
hydrochloroquine. Um, you can actually use rife machines to do it.
Right. Yeah. I have a girlfriend that has something similar to a Rife machine. It spits out data, and it's really really pretty cool little thing, right? But not it, but it's like more attainable, more affordable in terms of but the technology is still there. And I think that when our bodies are actually anchored in the quantum fields, it's it really doesn't matter if it's a Rife machine or something else that can also hook into the quantum fields, right? Because we're getting it. And then also remembering we are we're biocomputers. We are our own quantum computer. And so, again, like you're saying, why not program yourself the way you want to be programmed? Why
Yep.
not say, command your endocrine system and say, I'm in control of um, the way my thyroid is functioning, and the way my um, you know everything that comes with the endocrine system. And we can go down like a rabbit hole on this. But you know what, this is going to go back to the magnetic connection and the mother connection in terms of controlling the emotions. Is what I was having dinner with some friends last night, and putting together the connection between mother, the emotions, the magnetic fields, and the pericardium, right? The fluid sac around the heart, which is moving into that fifth dimension, right? So this is a direct attack on our the divine feminine, right? Which has been anchored in planet since once, what, 2014, like, overthrowing the dark mother. And this is
Yeah.
what they're pissed off about, because without the dark mother, they don't get to control anything anymore. Their black magics aren't working. Sorry, guys, right? Like,
Yeah, but people often have asked me, how does sound uh, create form? So if you know anything about cymatics, what they do is they have a medium like a paper or something. They put powder on the paper, and then they put that over a loudspeaker, and the loudspeaker changes to different frequencies. And as the sound changes, so does the image on the paper.
mhm,
The sound actually creates images. So what is imagination? The image that you want in your head. It's a magnetic energy, a magnetic wave. What is this, a magnetic sound wave? It's emotion. Okay, that's the heart gives off a magnetic wave, and their brain gives off an electric wave.
yeah,
So if you want to create that image, don't just think it, feel it.
yes, be it. Mhm.
Get the feeling. I am there standing watching Donald Trump being inaugurated as President of the United States for the second time. Feel it. What does it feel like? Wow!
Yeah,
Feels great. And send out that metadata, send it out with a wave.
yeah.
Okay.
I like to put those in. I don't know. Sometimes I like to be super imaginative, right? So I like to take my thoughts or my manifestations and put them in a Merkaba and send that right out of my body and into the earth, right? And just right into the ley lines. So I don't know if that like works, but that's what I do, right? It's like I just like to make it extra. I want to be
Yeah.
like I'm super determined, right?
Yeah, I've got some visitors with me tonight. My neighbor's dogs, and they're hungry, so I'm just give them a biscuit.
Oh, I love it. I wish I could see their faces.
What are you?
Um, let's see, I'll just go in. So, yeah, hi,
Here they are.
Jeremy. I love your analogy of negative thoughts. Thanks, Chas. Hi, loves from Deborah. Love that flow back. Um, she's been very aware of her flow backs. That's amazing. That's a definitely um, uh, first steps, right? I think that's fantastic. Oh, hi, babies. Did you get some biscuits? Oh my goodness. Hi, loves. Oh, they're
They're
so
always
cute.
hungry.
I know. And I don't know if you've noticed this. Angela 144, yes. And Jeremy saying he loves your energy. I do too. I love sitting here with Colin on Sundays. I've noticed animals are strangely hungry, like unusually hungry these days. Is that um, so? Like, I feel less hungry, and I know we're moving into crystalline bodies, right? So that would make us less hungry. Why are animals getting more hungry? What's happening to them?
I'm not sure, but you're right. They are. I mean, these two guys come into my food when I open my door in the morning. They come running in for their first biscuit. I give them 4 biscuits a day. One in the morning, one just before lunch, one mid-afternoon, one late afternoon. And then I close my doors and tell them to go home.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I don't know. They've been super, super
Yeah,
humble with you.
tonight my neighbor's gone out and she asked me, well, she was expecting to be back, but she phoned and said, yeah, could I give the dog some food? I gave them some food earlier on, but you're right, they're just never satisfied.
No, they aren't. My cats are maniacs. I feel like the cats are the worst. I don't know what's going on. They're being
Yeah.
really crazy, really, really crazy. So let's do, if you guys have any questions, please feel free, any of our listeners, to feel free to like pop them out. Anything's coming up. We're going to do some open discussing here. But what um, what what are you thinking in terms of time frames? Like we're really hearing August. August is like push time, right? Obviously, we're seeing significant change by June, which is what we expected, right? And it's almost like there's going to be an uprising in July of like, what in the actual F just happened, right? That's kind of what I'm feeling like. It's going to be like, whoa. And then the reset, right? This reset is coming, but this the summer solstice energy is really gonna push that whole activation for the reset. Is how a lot of people are seeing that. So, what are your thoughts, Colin?
I don't know much about the reset, and I'm not counting on any kind of reset because I have a completely different view on a financial system.
Yeah,
In fact, there shouldn't be a financial system. I think the entire economy of the world should be money should be scrapped completely, and everything should be free.
I love that
And
idea. So it's so utopian though. Like it's like, how is that attainable, right?
it become a resource-based economy. Just manage resources, make sure that everyone has enough resources, and we could do it.
Mhm.
It's we have the transport systems, we have, the shipping, the airplanes, the railways, road transport,
Mhm.
uh, and what we can do is just implement a system where people produce resources and make sure they're distributed to everybody, and everything's for free. Why have money?
Right.
Because if everything's for free, why would you want to steal, for instance?
Mhm. Why would you feel like you're not provided for, being
Yeah.
in that fear, that low vibration of fear. And yeah, that's
And if you are in need, you just put it out there you can organize your communities that if you're in need of something, you just speak to a certain department or person and so put it out there and they find the resource and say, well, you can find that resource over there. Do you want to transport it, deliver to you, or you're going to go collect it? And being a resource-based economy makes far more sense to me than having money.
yeah.
And
This
yeah, you
takes
could
me. Go ahead.
in other space-time continuum, in other spaces that I've been in, they don't have money. They laugh at us that we have money. They trade, and what they
Exactly.
do is they trade resources. I
Mhm.
have this resource. You want this resource? You give me your resource. I'll give you my resource.
Yes, I love that. That would be it would be it takes us back to the Lemurian times, right? It takes us back to the idea of, being a mm, creator.
Yeah,
How we create, how we work from those seventh dimensional frequencies, right?
yeah. And this system works because when you change the perception that there are some things in society and in our world that have no value,
Mhm.
then you make a big mistake. Current economics says the only things you value are labor, resources, capital, and I've forgotten what the fourth one is. But that's a stupid. That was invented by Adam Smith in the 19th century. Why are we still using that stupid system today when we're far more advanced than that?
Right.
And it's based on that some people have to work harder than other people, and some people who work less hard can have more reward.
Yeah.
And this is stupid.
It is stupid. It's polarity, right? When they can
Yeah,
divide, they can conquer.
yeah.
You know, and
So I'd like people to change the consciousness around money. It's just a resource.
yeah.
It's
And
it's really useless.
I, I was hearing something that back before the, paper money and things got put into, the computer systems and all that, that there, of course, was gold. And gold was the value that we gave it, something about the spiritual, connection or so. I don't remember exactly how I heard it or how that made sense, but it kind of made me think about how they ended up taking over gold and how they ended up, creating that as like the resource or, how to, I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I'm feeling like that switchover somehow was, I don't know. It has something to do with the spiritual aspect of how they ended up co-opting a lot of the frequencies here. I'm not sure what I'm feeling on that, but um, I don't know. Something
Yeah,
happened there.
gold is valued throughout the universe,
Mhm.
as because it's a superconductor, and we
Yeah,
live in a universe of energy. So gold and copper are very valued in the universe. So
right.
they're valuable resources. But saying that gold is more valuable than a human life,
No,
there's something
there's something wrong with that.
wrong with that. It's a
Yeah,
value system that I find abominable.
yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. But even like the littlest bit, thank you for saying that energy piece. That's something that moving into gold and moving into azurite templating, the energies of the azurites, that has risen. So the ones that were wearing like the fake azurite skins, right? Sorry, buddies. Sorry, buddy. It's like the gig is up. Like it's like the Scooby Doo shows, when they like, and who is, who are the fake Azurites? Pull it off, and there they are exposed. And I feel like that's what's happening now. And the gold aspect, as I'm thinking about this more, is like the rise of the gold body. Like we're rising and transforming into our golden bodies, right? So kind of feel like this has really changed. The changed the channel, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
It's really changed the game quite significantly when we've woken up the consciousness and got back our DNA. I mean, just so over the moon about and and then let's not get into the moon, but I'm so over the moon about our brothers and sisters being rescued. And here we are. You know what I mean? Like, it's time. Let's do it. There's no turning back. There's no
yeah,
turning back. I'm
yeah.
just tickled.
Yeah. Over the moon is one of the word spells here.
It is. I know. That's why I was like, so exactly. Oh, dear.
On the dark side of the moon.
Yep. Yep. And so that makes me curious too. Let's see where we are on some time here. We have a few more minutes, but that makes me curious about, will that ever be exposed about how the moon, like in mainstream media, are we going to be able to have like a little class, like on CNN? Hey, just so you know, the moon controlled our magnetic fields, and now we're going to start correcting that. Like, is that going to come out, do you think, Colin?
Yeah, yeah. In time it will. Um, when disclosures start happening on this planet, there are going to be many disclosures about
Yeah.
stuff, how we've been lied to about everything. And when this starts to happen, then we will be told our real history,
Yeah.
not history that's written in the history books, because that is mostly nonsense. Um, and it's written by the victors. So it, it's impossible really to write history because everyone has a different history.
Right.
So every person that's ever lived has a history, and to actually express that as our history is nonsense.
Hmm.
You know, we have to respect everyone's history. We have to respect the experiences they've had, where they were born, how they got to where they got, and all the experiences in between are important.
Hmm.
And we undermine the ordinary on our planet, and we underrate the ordinary. But it's the ordinary that makes our world extraordinary.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Beautiful.
so yeah, there's going to be a lot of disclosure of history, who the beings are. There's going to be ET disclosures as well, you know, in
Yeah.
time,
Yep. And
because
I'm really, go
they
ahead.
are playing a role right now on this planet. They
Oh,
are
absolutely.
Guardian alliances are working with the Earth alliances, with the Earth militaries and various organizations on Earth to correct the wrongs of the past. And we've got you know, as I said in the earlier show we did, that we've got another 24 years.
Hmm.
That's the window of horizon that we've got to correct all the things that were not done properly on this planet.
Right.
So it's going to get very, very busy, but I want to assure people that they will be enabled through this experience. Okay.
Yeah. I
The
agree with
Bible
you.
puts it this way: for God is able to make all things abound towards you, that you, having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work.
Oh, oh, my heart, my heart. Thank you. I want to say, Helen, see, there are people like Helen, she's saying, when the original grid system was switched off, inverted gold, which was used to function the system and or connect us with the grid via monet, um, monatomic, and also the gold we have naturally in our bodies. Yeah. Gold itself, as we know it, became a valuable commodity in the attempt to fix the grid system, etc. Yes, gold is frequency. What I love the most, thank you so much for that, Helen. It's like people like you, spreading this and sharing, your awareness and your knowingness, right? Because and that's waking up more and more in each and every one of us. We're remembering our history. It's like I said, gig is up. And
Yeah,
yeah, and being able to move into these frequencies and hold them, right? We're waking up the original grid system.
yeah,
And it's the guardians. We had to build bridges to get there, and in the fields, and time to flip the switch, right?
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
really excited about that.
And when the ascension happens, we have to go through the void.
Yeah.
And when we go through the void, our memories will be restored,
Yes.
because that's the only place they can do it. Because when you're in the void, there's no time and no space. So when you go into the void and you come out the void, it feels like an instant, but you are actually in that void for a very long time, in the sense that there's no time and no space in that void. Our memories are restored because we get a DNA upgrade, because all our history, our entire soul history, is in our what they call junk DNA,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we hold our family history in our genetic DNA. We have two types of DNA, and so it's all written there. We just can't remember it.
Right. And there
So
there are many of us, doing the work to bring that back. So that way we can shake things up, let people know what's going on. So they too, like, because we had in any moment we can go into to 0 point, and we can remember. So,
yep,
knowing how powerful we are, and what we can bring, and all we have to do is ask. Just ask and then do the work, right?
yeah.
Uh, Control your emotions. Yeah. Create, create, create.
Seek and you will find, ask and it shall be given.
Yep. Yep. It's so simple, yet not, right?
Yeah,
Oh, look at
yeah.
this
The
cute little thing.
problem is people ask for things. God doesn't give things; He gives experiences.
Yeah.
So if a certain thing is required for an experience, he'll give you that thing.
Hmm.
But but the universe wants to give you an experience, and whatever's necessary for that experience will be provided for you. You
Yes.
know, whatever experience you choose. Sometimes we give ourselves bad experiences.
Hmm.
I know I did that many times in my life. Negative stuff, bad experiences.
Yes.
It took me a long time to realize that it was me who gave myself that bad experience. I put myself into that position, and I had to forgive myself for doing that.
Yep, I do a lot of that, and a lot in the coaching and teaching, and myself as well as others. Like, even though I did X, Y, and Z, I forgive myself anyway, and
Yeah,
pick yourself up and move on, right? And it's okay if you do it again, even though I did this, I forgive myself anyway, and you just keep
yeah,
forgiving yourself, and then pretty soon you wake up and you do something and you don't feel the same way you used to, and you go, wait, aren't I supposed to be angry about this, or aren't I supposed to? And then you find out you're not attached to that anymore, and
yeah,
your whole world starts to change. Yeah.
yeah. When you realize that you're human and that you're a sovereign being, and as a sovereign being, you have a right to be wrong,
Yeah.
and you have a right to make mistakes, and everyone has that right. And so when people make mistakes, don't blame them. Say, well, it's fine. You
Yeah.
made a mistake. That's okay. You know, we all make mistakes.
Hmm.
Nobody's perfect, but we all are perfect.
Yes, we're all perfect in our imperfections, right?
Exactly.
So, wow, what an amazing chat we had today. I'm so grateful for you. I just love being here with you. And when you find your soul family, you're just like, oh, I just all warm fuzzies in your body, and you just can keep going on and on. And I guess my little tidbit, you guys, is expect the unexpected, and stay in neutral. I think there's going to be some really amazing things coming up, and being in neutrality is going to be very important. Time is moving fast. We're like almost always in no time, which I find quite fascinating. So
Yeah.
today was yesterday, is tomorrow, is now, right? And so it's as long as you're tuned into that. And it's been a little bit trippy. And Colin and I were just talking about timelines actually shifting, and I've been actually physically feeling that, going, whoa, we just got picked up and dumped over here. So it's been pretty crazy. But
Yeah.
Mastering the Hologram, the writings of colinjoe.com. Look at Mastering the Hologram, because this is going to help you understand, and see how to string these pieces together, and be the creator of your own hologram, mastering your own life, captain of your own ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I also have another spreadsheet on mastering your value system,
Mm,
and it's also got a list of values, and see which values you value the most and which values you don't value, and why you don't value, and understanding why you attach to certain values and not to others,
wow.
and bring in your sense of values. Now, what is the value of courage, patience? What is the value of discipline, dedication, determination? Are
Mhm.
those values that you attach to, or don't you see them as important?
Wow.
You know,
I love that. And it's funny, I tell my kids, raising them, I just say, if you're not adding value, don't bother, right? Like, it's keep your thoughts to yourself, and unless you're going to add value.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Colin. And I'd love to say just thank you, everybody, for being present, in the no time, in spiral time. And for those of you that showed up in the now, um, thank you so much. And, we're same bat time, same bat channel next week. So,
yeah, yeah. It's great for me too. Loved every moment of it, and I enjoy it. being in your company and being in the company of all the viewers out there, and hope they give us some good feedback, and
Okay.
we look forward to seeing you next Sunday.
We'll see you guys soon. Much love to you. I love you, Colin.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.